Let's talk about Mukilteo home prices. Second quarter just finished. What's been happening in the market? Where's the market going? And then how are economic factors like interest rates and inflation affecting us overall? I'm Anton Stetner. I've been selling real estate here in Snohomish County since 2003. I've sold thousands of homes here locally. I own brokerages. I do new construction, land development. We have a large real estate sales team. I'm also a nerd who digs through this data on a regular basis. And I love sharing these numbers with you. So hit that subscribe button if you're one of my locals. Drop your questions in the comments below. If you want to look at something that is your specific property, always reach out, because what we're talking about here is the whole city. But each property is going to be unique based on your situation. Let's look at the average price in Mukilteo together. Average price in Mukilteo, you can see, even though this line is bouncing up and down, because we're looking at monthly data, this is definitely trending in an upward direction. And look at that number right there. In June of 2025, $1,037,975, up 17.4%. Oh my goodness. Now, it also means there may have been some very expensive homes that have sold lately. Let's look at the median. The median monthly data, 910,000 last month, up 0.3 versus the rest of the year. Let's smooth out the data and look at it on a rolling 12. And I think the rolling 12 definitely tells the story better. So the rolling 12 says the average price is 953,000, up 11%, and the median price is up 10% at $933,000. What I want you to understand is Mukilteo is outperforming other parts of Snohomish County. This is great appreciation that you're seeing in this city specifically. Let's take this off the rolling 12. Let's go to monthly, because I like looking at this. You can see, of course, the least amount of properties come on during the winter, and then they peak about June. And this year we peaked in April. So new listings in Mukilteo are actually down right now. They're down. The number of homes for sale, though, is up. It's up 40%. So this is something the media has been using to scare people. They're talking about, because listing data was like at an all-time low, because it was so low because of interest rates, when we get these big jumps, they like to report these giant numbers to scare you so they can sell ads. They're selling doom, fear, porn. But I want to tell you, when you look at this over a longer period of time, so all we got to do is go back and look at this over a max period of time, you can see that the number of homes for sale right now is not above 2019. It's barely above 2020. So this is kind of pre-COVID levels of the number of homes for sale. Let's make this data easier to read. Now we're looking at pending sales. Pending sales is the property went under contract, the seller has accepted an offer. Now you're just pending, waiting to close. This right here shows that pending sales were in line in June of 2025 with June of 2024. Shows that the closed sales were down 8.3%. And what we've been seeing overall in Snohomish County with things like this is the higher interest rates are weighing on the market. The market uncertainty, and I'm talking the geopolitical events, I'm talking tariffs, I'm talking the high interest rates, I'm talking the slowing down of the employment numbers. This is causing the real estate market to also slow. As rates get below 6.5, the market speeds up. But right now we're at about 6.85 today. So this is the market slowing down. However, Mukilteo, once again, is still killing it relative to the rest of Snohomish County. So days on market, the average days on market is 21. So about 3 weeks there in Mukilteo. The month supply of pending is 3.4. It has shot up dramatically, but once again, let's look at it over a longer time horizon. You can see you're back in line with like 2019, 2018, a little bit of pre-COVID supply. To think about supply, this 3.4 months of supply means if no new properties came on the market in 3.4 months, you'd sell through everything. When you're below 6 months, you are in a seller's market. When you are above 6 months, you are in a buyer's market. But the reason it feels different is the market is not just scorching hot, because for a while we were below a month or at a month and a half, which is ridiculous pace. And so sellers, you need to understand the data is saying we're returning to a normal market right now, but don't expect this to last for long. Agents understand that just because things were crazy during COVID when rates were low doesn't mean this has to continue exactly the same way. This is just more of a normal market. Let's look at percent of original list price. Oh, let's drop it back down to 3 years. The percent of original list price last month was 96.7%. Now, I will tell you that the historical average for Snohomish County is around 98. That means that some sellers did some price reductions in order to get their properties sold in Mukilteo last month. Some buyers got some deals. Well, let's think about this logically. Mukilteo is more expensive, a little bit more desirable than some of the other areas. And so some of these homes have gotten to this unaffordable higher end of the market. Therefore, they've had to make a little bit of price adjustments, not much, just a little bit, in order to get inside the market. It also means some sellers put their property on at wish pricing, that agents priced ahead of the market instead of at or below the market. Otherwise, these price reductions would have never had to happen. And as an agent, we don't get to set the price. The seller ultimately picks the price. We just get to make recommendations based on the data and the facts that are sitting in front of us. Price per square foot was $476 a square foot in Mukilteo last month. The thing to understand is price per square foot is always a way to hunt for deals. You can take listing data, you can resort by price per square foot, and that might be a deal. Then resort by days on market. And if you find one with low price per square foot and high days on market, you should make an offer on it and try to make a deal. Shows depending. The average property last month got 13 showings before it went pending. That is climbing. And showings per listing was 4. So if your property in Mukilteo did not get an offer and get it sold, one of the things to consider is, as long as its condition is good, as long as it's properly positioned inside the market and marketed well, then the only other factor that you could deal with would be price. And if you're not receiving enough showings, you're going to most likely have to end up adjusting the price. As we look through this data here in Mukilteo, though, realize we're taking the city as a whole. So there's going to be specific neighborhoods that are going to outperform this and specific neighborhoods that will underperform these specific numbers. And for your situation, we would have to dig into that property specifically in order to ascertain the best deal. I can tell you though, as a seller, the market's, it's hot, it's appreciating. As a buyer, expect to pay top dollar in Mukilteo. As an investor, there may not be that many deals here. I might be hunting in other parts of the county, which I personally am. What I want you to realize is that these real estate statistics are for the whole city. So for your situation specifically, or your property specifically, we'd have to dig into the actual neighborhood, into what's happening in the market and that property. If you have questions about any property specifically, feel free to give us a call, hit us up at resg.com, drop any questions there down in the comments. Subscribe if you live here in the local area and you want to see more content about real estate investing, land development, the market, and just how to make more money in real estate. I'm Anton Stetner. Thanks for watching.